listeners, this is the Backstage Story Show on Nollywood Broadcasting Service. A lot of our old fans know us as Nollywood Radio France. But right now, we are on a brand new platform and we have upgraded just to make sure we entertain, educate, inform, and enlighten you globally. And I am a regular host and producer, Ozemoya Aletor. And today is going to be an awesome, exciting, and hilarious moment on this show. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back after this short break.
I'm Joke Silva, an actress and producer. I am on the Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
I am Zach Oji, an actor, filmmaker, and media consultant from Nigeria. And I am on the Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
Olu Jacobs. I am on the Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
My name is Yinka Lawansin, aka Lamborghini, and aka Mr. Loverman. And right now I am live at the Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on the Nollywood Radio France.
My name is Tunde Kelani TK. Right now I'm on the Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
I'm a makeup artist and a unique beat maker. I'm on Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
I am Tony Harifayon, also known as Arifik. I'm on the Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
Atugbe tutunwolu Atugbede. Yo, it's your boy live in the building, SOJ. Here with Ozemoya on Backstage Story Show on Nollywood Radio France.
My name is Temitayo Adeneye, also known as Shakira. I'm on the Backstage Story Show with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
My name is Remy Adebayo Shitami. I'm live with Backstage with Ozemoya on Nollywood Radio France.
Hey, this is your homeboy Osh Michael, Mr. R&B. I'm hanging around with Ozemoya on Backstage Show on Nollywood Radio France.
Welcome back. Football is what we'll be talking about today. And I have someone with me in the studio who enjoys promoting and coaching grassroots football. That's his passion. And he has several badges to his credit, but that's the way I'll put it. But before we go on, let me take this quote from some of the notable people we know in football. The first person is Pelé. Pelé says, and I quote, "I always had a philosophy which I got from my father. He used to say, listen, God gave to you the gift to play football. This is your gift from God. If you take care of your health, if you are in good shape all the time, with your gift from God, no one will stop you, but you must be prepared." Unquote. End of quote. That's from Pelé. I take this one from Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho says, "Football is about joy. It's about dribbling. I favor every idea that makes the game beautiful. Every good idea has to last." That's from Ronaldinho. Then let me take this other one from Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo has this to say about football. He says, "Without football, my life is worth nothing." I think that's from Cristiano Ronaldo. Then let me take this final one by one of the coaches, Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson says, "Sometimes in football, you have to hold your hand up and say, yeah, they're better than us." On that note, I welcome you again to the Backstage Story Show on Nollywood Broadcasting Service. And my guest today is a Luton All-Stars football club coach, or do I put it that way? And he's a certified football association license coach in Nigeria. He's going to tell us more about himself. I have with me Solomon Aletor, also known as Ozemoya. Solomon Ozemoya Aletor. Solomon, nice to have you.
Correct.
So, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Ozemoya. Thanks for the opportunity. So, at least you pronounced my name well. That's brilliant.
And today on the Backstage Story Show, we'll be talking sports, football particularly, and soccer this time. You know, we call it soccer, some people call it soccer, and some people call it football, but generally, globally, it's football, soccer. Solomon Ozemoya Aletor is the media secretary, Luton All-Star Football Club in London. He's also the head coach, Luton All-Star Eagles. That's the under-10 of the football club. Solomon has over a decade. He has dedicated like a decade of time and effort studying principles of most of the successful footballers in the world, and he did quite an adventurous research. So, based on some of these research, he came up with several experiences and techniques on how to serve and be of service to several people in that arena. Solomon Aletor, media secretary, Luton All-Stars Football Club, and head coach, Luton All-Stars Eagles. That's the under-10 of the football academy. Yeah, Solomon, before we go, who exactly are you? You probably want to add a little bit more to your profile for the listening audience.
Sure, why not? I'm actually based in Luton. It's just it's a town on the north of London, about 20 minutes outside London, but most people call it London. And it's quite suburban. It's actually known for producing a few stars. Like if you heard of Jack Wilshere and a few other players that come from around this area in terms of football. So I've been here for quite a while now, for close to about 20 years. I school here, I work around the community, and obviously from in my profile, I do a lot with football. So that's just a nutshell of what I do. But I spend the majority of my time coming back home on mostly on a yearly basis to try and engage people about football. So yeah, that's where we are.
Okay, now, Solomon, you are a Nigerian, no doubt. Now, you grew up here. You grew up here. You have enough adventure and experience in terms of football and soccer in Nigeria. Your adventure before becoming certified as a FA licensed coach, what was your adventure like in football?
Well, that's a very, very, very great story because from as early as I can remember, my mom would tell you when I was about 2 years old, I wouldn't go to sleep without a ball. So I've always had football in my life. My primary school played all through primary school years. That's the only thing I can remember very, very clear in primary school is me playing football. And then obviously in secondary school. In secondary school, I was opportune to actually go to school with you, you know that. So during my early years, like JS 1, 2, and 3, if you remember correctly, I used to play for Dragon House, which is my house. I used to play number 7, right? And that period was very unique for me because during the coaching years, they would tell you the golden years of football is around your 10-year-old mark. So when you're plus or minus 10, that's the golden years of football. So during that period, I gained certain, how would I put it now, certain abilities that I knew, well, I need to take it to another level. But obviously with the way it goes in Nigeria, you don't have those kind of opportunities to join the club, to move on with your career in football. So I kind of like put that idea down in the back burner and said, we'll see how it goes when I get a little bit older. But I never forgot that dream, right? I went to secondary school. I went back to Benin. I'm from Benin. I went back to Benin in my secondary school years. I played in all my schools. I went to 2 schools in Benin, played football there, and then left Nigeria in 1996. I came straight to university here. While at university, I joined the university team. But the thing is, playing in the UK is a lot different because the minute you walk into the football pitch here, you realize one thing. You realize that behind every great player, there is an inspirational coach. That's the first thing that hits you. There's always somebody saying something to you. It might be your dad, it might be your uncle, your brother, or there's somebody. There's always somebody behind everybody playing at any level. So that gives the drive for that player. So that adventure has obviously led me to taking football to another level. I played for a few companies, played on the local Sunday league here, and decided to start doing my badges. that has brought me to being a certified FA coach for under 10s. So that's where we are at the moment.
All right. Now, would you say that political connection of your parents or someone you knew brought the certification for you, or it was based on merit? Somebody just studied you and said, oh, this guy is due for something, and you got the certification?
Yeah, you're right there, because it was definitely based on opportunity presenting itself. I mean, this is one of the things we're trying to highlight in Africa as well. That opportunity, we have to try and provide it for people. Well, mine was easy because I was already involved in a club, just on the sidelines. You know, I was in the parents' board because my son actually plays for one of the local clubs as well. So every match day, you would find me shouting and screaming at him. This was about 3 years ago, right? He was about 7 years old then. I used to be very vocal on the sidelines. You know, pass the ball, go on, Michael, do this, do that. You know, I would definitely be vocal. So, about a couple of years ago, one of the coaches of our team I went to play, we actually beat that team at that point in time. We won the cup. He approached me and said, look, you have some very good points, and what do you think about coaching? I said, well, that's a brilliant thing. I don't mind. He said, well, my club, they do a lot of coaching programs for people who are enlightened and knowledgeable about football. Would you mind taking it up? I said, why not? You know? And you know, from an African background, when those kind of things happen, the first thing you think about is thank God for this opportunity. So obviously, went home, discussed with my wife, and got engaged with the club. We discussed a few things, and they put me straight on the course. It was an intensive course for a few months, but it was well worth it. Well worth it at the time. So yes, the opportunity presented itself as opposed to just merit.
I've been speaking with Solomon Ozemoya Aletor. Solomon Ozemoya Aletor is the media secretary, Luton All-Stars FC. That's the football club in London. He's also the head coach of Luton All-Stars Eagles, the under-10 aspect or the under-10 department of that football club. Solomon, nice to have you on the show. Great to have you here.
No.
Now, Solomon, comparing Nigerian football development or Nigerian football as an entity with, like you said earlier, that it's a different ball game over there. But what would you say is the major problem we have in Nigeria in terms of cohesiveness and for being formidable to form a very viable football society? Let me put that way, or football association.
Yes, that's a very, very good question, because, you know, that's one of the things that I go about doing on a daily basis when I'm promoting football, because under 10 football around that age is basically driven by grassroots football. So we are promoting grassroots football in as much as we coach. Now in Nigeria, the main problem that I see, and this is just an opinion, but opinion based on years of research, is the structure of the game. Now, we were talking about Pele quotes one time, and one of the great quotes from Pele says everything is practice. See, that's not just saying football is practice. No, the structure of the game is practice. Setting up the game is practice. Duties in around the match, match day for managers and coaches is practice. Annual activities you can give to children to get them involved constantly is practice. Safeguarding your children on the pitch, doing stuff for them all the time, inside and outside football, is practice. Developing and supporting coaches, which we don't do on that level, is practice as well. And then you have planning of successful tournaments. That's practice. Respect of the game itself is practice. Members services. So you have people wanting to join your club or your structure because they like what you do. It's a practice. Football itself, to be great in it, you have to practice every day. So back home, what we lack in this regard is practicing football from a very practical point of view. But you can quote me on that because I can expand that. Practicing football on a practical level means you have to look at the game for what it is and how it helps as a tool to promote, guide, and more or less drive children, wanting to achieve their dream. They don't have to play football, but there's so many other things that football brings for them within the community. I'll give you a perfect example, right? When I go to play other clubs here, for instance, we play matches every Saturday, so I take the boys and we go. We meet new kids, we meet new parents, you know, and after the game, we all get together and talk about the development of their children. And they tell me, oh yeah, the school promotes them, the school helps them. Occasionally they go to different places. You see, the community as a whole practice this bonding of football. That is promoting grassroots football outside of the government. So that is what we don't have per se back home, and it's what I'm hoping that going forward we would understand that, you know, by people like us doing all these courses now and making sure that we have the knowledge, we can obviously deliver these programs seamlessly for kids back home. Because basically one of my joys growing up was, or rather one of my ambitions when I was growing up was to just simply hit the back of the net. But I never had that opportunity, you see. I always used to play, you know, we put 2 goalposts, you know, shoes. We just use shoes as goalposts and that's it. But seeing a kid hit the actual back of the net, it's a different feeling, as you can imagine. So, yeah. That's the main difference I see at the moment.
Okay.
I am Adetokunbo Adeyinka Azuwike, an actor, filmmaker, producer, also the chairman Association of Movie Producer, Plateau State Chapter. I am on the Backstage Story Show with Demola Sonyaolu on Nollywood Broadcasting Service.
Hello people, it's your boy Lucky Now, writer, producer, actor, compare brand consultant. I am chilling and hanging out with my host Demola on the Backstage Story Show on Nollywood Broadcasting Service. Keep listening.
I am Saint Livingstone Ekane, director, producer, actor, screenwriter, and I am on the Backstage Story Show with Demola on Nollywood Broadcasting Service.
I am John Paul Oshoke Omoru, producer, director, and a media consultant. I'm live on the Backstage Story Show with Demola on Nollywood Broadcasting Service.
I am Franklin Okoro, film producer, National Public Relations Officer of Association of Movie Producers Nigeria. I am on the Backstage Story Show with Demola on Nollywood Radio France.
I am Chijoki Alfonso Singobiri, cinematographer, musical video director and editor, also the CEO of CJ Films. I'm on the Backstage Story Show with Demola on Nollywood Broadcasting Service.
Now, there is one major factor in Nigeria that seems to contribute to the backwardness or stagnation of the development of football in Nigeria. Africa has got a lot of talent. Nigeria has a lot of talent, but politics in football seems to impede the progress of that game. What's your take on that?
I don't think it exists on that level. On the grassroots level, if we are honest with ourselves, politics in football doesn't exist on that level. What you see, where you find politics is later on at the elite level. You know, when you start paying and when there's money involved and there's so much done in terms of personal gain, that's where you now see politics in football. At the moment, we're talking grassroots level. I'm certified to coach adults and I coach children as well. On the elite level, which is more or less professional level, yes, you can see a level of politics there, but this is everywhere. You know about the mess going on with FIFA now, so that is not really an issue. The main issue is, for grassroots level, the awareness needs to be created. The awareness from the kids' point of view, it has to be understood that children, boys and girls, between the age of 7 and 11, have the right to understand and play football, basically to make them better people. Do we understand that in our community? That's the question.
Now, sorry, I may have to interject you. The reason why I said politics is, you know, even at the grassroots level, when you nurture and you train these young folk, you know, a lot of politics go on that do not allow some of these young folks to see the light of the day, particularly the talented ones. By the time they need to get known or get seen, you know, at that elite level, because it is that elite level that is going to broadcast you to the world. Now, you are taking them up from grassroots. By the time you need to feed them into the national team or stuff like that, then you get impeded with a lot of politics. You know, it doesn't come from one region and this and that, some of those stupid rules?
No. I'll have to cut you there. You see, we can't even afford to think like that because that's the mentality that has been plaguing us for years. Now, football is about respect. At the moment, we have a campaign called the Respect Campaign. The Respect Campaign, you're actually teaching the kids around football and teaching the parents about football.
Okay.
Now, when we're looking at football is one thing in the world that brings countries together. It brings races together. I mean, these two boys who just signed for Arsenal Football Club now, they're from Igbo now. But if they play for Nigeria, they play for Arsenal, you're not going to get a Hausa man or an Igbo man or someone from Benin saying they're not going to watch the game because it's an Igbo man playing. No. Football is generic like that. It's one sport that can be used to bridge so many gaps. And that happens here, especially here in the UK. I mean, if you go back to obviously I live in the UK, but still, like I said, the majority of my time I try to spend it in Nigeria. Pele said it one time that England is the level of England. England is the leader in world football. He didn't say that just because they know how to play football, which they do on a level, but just what they bring to the game. You know, the structures they bring, the coaching, the level of engagement they bring. That is what should be mirrored. And that is what we are trying to introduce to Africa on a level. It doesn't have anything to do with politics as long as we know what we are doing.
All right. Now, what you're saying on that level is once you train people, the young folks at the grassroots level, it's easier for them to get known globally. They don't have to go through any political channel.
No, we're focusing on this professional level of football, but we are looking at football development. If you can give a kid an opportunity to realize that he is good at playing football, like I said, he doesn't necessarily have to be a footballer. He can decide to go into coaching. He can decide to go into management. He can decide to go into just generally engaging himself or expand the community more from a football point of view. It's not just about the players. That's the problem, that's the high side that we don't normally see. Football as a tool, as an engagement tool, it needs to be harnessed at that age so that they understand the beauty surrounding football. It's the understanding that counts at this point in time.
All right, I've been speaking with Solomon Ozemoya Aletor, Media Secretary, Luton All-Stars Football Club. He's also the head coach, Luton All-Stars Eagles, the under-10 department of that club. Solomon, I really appreciate your time. That's why your busy schedule, and with this interview had to come because I saw the certification you got, and I said, let me bring you up. Solomon is also a friend who were teammates in school, and I decided to bring him on board. Solomon, nice to have you. What's your advice for, before you go on this show, what's your advice for younger folks who want to delve into this adventure? What do you have for them? What word do you have for them?
Well, to be honest, my advice is definitely at the parents and at the government. We need to build pitches. 60 by 40 pitches. You need to roll them out to primary schools, to communities. They don't have to be expensive pitches. Just the more pitches you have, more practice they can practice. You know, practice. That's my advice. We just need more facilities to allow people play. And obviously, from the coaching point of view, you need programs. That's where we come in. So that's my advice, really. You know, we build more pitches, we have more programs, and then we'll take it. We'll see how Nigeria goes futbolistically.
All right, that's Solomon Aletor. We need more practice. This is the Backstage Story Show on Nollywood Broadcasting Service. I am Demola Sayolu, and remember that you can log on www.nollywoodbroadcastingservice.com to listen to all our programs live with syndication with other channels. The BackstageStories.tv, www.backstagestory.tv, and NollywoodSpotlight.com in US. So we have a lot of syndication. So whatever you hear on Nollywood Broadcasting Service goes live also on BackstageStories.tv and other media partners. This is the Backstage Story Show. And remember, do well, keep well, and stay atop your game. Until bye for now.